the story made headlines across the world. Nobel Laureate resigns from society because of its global warming fear-mongering. We're going to talk to Marc Morano, really one of the leading people in the last decade exposing the fraud of man-made global warming or anthropogenic warming, to discuss the fact that Al Gore has gone from saying that he is the ruler of the earth, the high priest who speaks the truth and no one can challenge him, to now scrabbling around, behaving like the con artist he is, and desperately trying to get people to pay attention to him and telling the world that he controls reality, but everything is conspiring against him. The sea levels are dropping. The ice is growing at record rates. And more scientists are pointing out it's the sun, not carbon dioxide, that's less than 1% of the world's atmosphere. Joining us to break all of this down is Marc Morano, a voice in the wilderness long ago, but he stuck to the facts, so now the truth is coming out on top. Marc, thank you for joining us, but you warned me, joining us live on Skype, a thunderstorm's rolling in right now, which we never had thunderstorms or rain before. So perhaps...
Never had weather before man-made global warming, so it's possible that one of Al Gore's predicted storms could interrupt our interview here.
Well, yeah, everything. Dust storms, earthquakes, hot weather, cold weather. I mean, rain never fell until man did bad things. So do you want to apologize right now that there's a storm maybe approaching right now?
Yes, I do. And if you look at this, I wish we had carbon taxes in the 1930s. We could have prevented the Dust Bowl drought from happening. If only we had visionaries back then.
The inventor of the internet.
Yes, what's happened now is Al Gore has started his 24-hour campaign, and it is so atrocious, so offensive, that even committed global warmists are bailing on Al Gore. The UK Guardian's Leo Hickman has said his stomach stank when he started watching it. He couldn't believe that every bad weather event was being linked to global warming. He said Al Gore is opening himself up to charges of being an alarmist. He said it's not what you want to peg your hat on. Committed global warmists are asking the question, as the UK Guardian did today, is Al Gore helping the global warming cause? Al Gore is losing his own people. He's so off the reservation.
Well, I'm glad you raised that, because I just saw that this afternoon. When I saw the promo video yesterday, it was like, in that weird, fake, feminine voice he's got, it sounds like the biggest con artist on earth out of some Lovecraft novel. He's saying storms, fires, rain, pay me money, no one can question us. I mean, it just looks like someone bleeding out and floundering. Here's my question. Is Al Gore on the edge of the precipice, or has he already fallen off of it? Can Humpty Dumpty be put back together again?
I don't know. I mean, this is it. We can declare him dead for so long. The problem is the difference between man-made global warming and all the other eco scares is this is the most well-funded scare by a factor of 1,000 over all the previous scares: global cooling, overpopulation, the Amazon rainforest disappearing. Damn it. No eco scare has been this institutionalized and funded. So Al Gore just keeps reinventing himself. He was talking about unprecedented global warming, but now he's forced to talk about extreme weather, a flood here, a hurricane there. There is absolutely no data to support what he's saying. We have at Climate Depot peer-reviewed studies showing the Russian heat wave that Gore likes to cite was not due to man-made global warming, that floods were not due to man-made global warming. As he's speaking this week, Alex, it's as though Mother Nature's playing a joke on him. We're getting summertime snow in Colorado, record cold in Iowa. We're getting crops destroyed by freezes in Minnesota.
I saw that huge snows in Aspen.
Yes, and the cold is descending on the U.S. That's not the only thing. A new study shows Antarctic ice growing. In the last 5 days, the Arctic, the North Pole, has expanded by several Manhattans. I think it's 3 Manhattans a minute in expanding ice as Al Gore is speaking. 3 Manhattans a day, it might be, actually. And sea level just came out today. Sea level has dropped again. They're calling it a historic drop in sea level. This could not be more comical if Mother Nature had a greater sense of humor.
Well, that's right. In fact, he chose yesterday and today as the launch of his 24 hours of baloney, or what he calls reality, because this is the date he picked, many years ago, that L.A. would be underwater, New York, and instead Der Spiegel says we still believe in man-made climate change, not warming, change. Seasons didn't exist until now. Pay them money or we're all dead. But now Der Spiegel's saying sea levels dropping is global warming.
Yes, they're absolutely, no matter what happens. And here's what, at Climate Depot, we actually documented dozens of peer-reviewed studies literally predicting the exact opposite of each other. We have studies predicting more drought, less drought, more floods, less floods, more hurricanes, less hurricanes. And why do they do that? Now, no matter what weather event happens, they can say, we predicted it. And the bottom line is they predict everything and anything, whatever the weather, whether ice caps expand or retreat, it's all consistent with man-made global warming.
And this is the new attack pattern. I've noticed this the last 2 years. 2 years ago, that Obama talking point came out. Even the New York Times reported on it. They just said, we're going to call all change, seasons, snow, hot, cold, everything. So it's kind of like buying every square on a craps table or every number on a roulette. And so no matter what happens, they're like, oh, my God, there were forest fires. Well, we've always had, it's just, oh, my God. But then meanwhile, the sun has nothing to do with it, they claim.
No, in fact, here's the real story. Hundreds of factors make up our global temperature, and even warmest sites like realclimate.org has admitted this. Everything from tilt of the Earth's axis to ocean cycles to clouds, water vapor, methane, CO2, volcanoes, land use, deforestation, you name it. And what Al Gore has tried to do, and what the global warmists have tried to do through the United Nations, through the corrupted science, is try to claim that one of these hundreds of factors that influence our temperature, if we can tweak that on the margin, we can somehow control the Earth's thermostat. This is now classic witch burning. Al Gore is engaging in a classic witch burner mentality. He's basically saying, we never had this kind of weather before those witches moved in the neighborhood, before you own your SUV, before you had central air conditioning and heating in your home. And they want people not only to feel guilty, but they want them to think that acts of United Nations treaties and acts of Congress, taxes and legislation can control the weather. We are no better now than pagan cultures, than ancient civilizations like the Aztecs in 1450, who slaughtered thousands of people to appease the angry gods to end a drought. Al Gore thinks we can tax and regulate ourselves to perfect weather. This is obscene. And again, even the global warmists are bailing on him. And here's an interesting factoid. He brings in his own warmist scientists. They get stumped on questions about sea level. Miss Rhode Island, he has beauty pageant contestants trumping his own warmist scientists in a panel. I posted this at Climate Depot. The Miss Rhode Island beauty pageant contestant knew more about sea level than Al Gore's chosen scientists from the American Meteorological Society. This is an embarrassment of riches. It's a question of how anyone's going to sit through 24 hours and just pick all this beautiful, inane, sophomoric, sappy, maudlin nonsense out. But Al Gore has provided us with a rich environment that looks like even the German media is ignoring it. The U.S. media is. Well,
that was my point, is that, wow, how the great have fallen. This was a guy who for decades would lecture us all, and the media, oh, yes, sir, oh, we'll all be dead soon. And now your analogy is spot on, where they would sacrifice 10,000 people on certain holidays, not just in the Aztec culture, but the Druids would sacrifice people as well. When there was a eclipse, oh, God, make the sun god bring the sun back, or make the moon god bring the moon back. I mean, he's literally saying you've got this gas that's 0.0360 and has been 30% of the atmosphere before, thousands of times higher, last 200,000 years, 14 times higher. And this thing, clearly in the public graphs in every university, heat goes up, carbon dioxide goes up after it, and he's lying and flipping it, and all of this hoax comes out, and his response is to come out and say, we're hoaxing. Here's my question for you. What's the counterattack? Because as you and others have pointed out, Lord Monckton was on with us yesterday, $100 billion spent in the U.S. alone, hundreds of billions total globally, to push this guilt where school children cry that they're killing the earth and pay money to Al Gore. You know, let them green police and go in your house. So it doesn't matter that this has all been exposed. In England, Australia, who are about 5 years ahead of us, as you know, the green police are now out there digging through trash cans, going in the houses. This is their authoritarian cover. So how are they going to respond to the fact that their cult is falling in on itself, A, and B, how do we counter that, Marc Morano?
Well, unfortunately, they respond by having the regulatory authority of the United States Environmental Protection Agency. The EPA was granted the authority by the United States Supreme Court to regulate what we exhale from our mouth. That is our greatest threat. Unelected bureaucrats in government doing what Congress, what the American people would not allow Congress to do, and that's regulate CO2, a trace essential gas in the atmosphere. And by the way, you look at hurricane activity, 30, 40-year historic lows as CO2 has risen. In fact, CO2, big hurricanes were bigger when we had less CO2 in the atmosphere. Tornadoes, the big tornadoes have declined dramatically since the 1970s as CO2 has climbed. As we mentioned, sea levels, no acceleration, it's actually dropping. So they haven't got the science, but they have got the government, the bureaucrats. They're going to keep coming. Al Gore is not giving up on this. The United Nations is not giving up on this.
They've got the arrogance. They're never going to stop with their scams. He might as well say he made the planet, not just the internet. He sold us NAFTA and GATT. This guy is pure poison. He literally is a dagger trying to slit the throat of this country, shut down our power sources, everything. So they're not going away, and the EPA is saying they don't care what Congress has done. They're going to go forward. Is it a victory that at least Obama said he's going to back off some of these new carbon tax regulations last week? Is that a victory?
It's a very delayed, it's a delaying tactic. What it all comes down to is the next president, it's going to be key what they do with the EPA. If Obama's reelected, he will go forward with the CO2 regulations. They'll go forward with all these shutting down of coal plants. The coal plants we're doomed. You have alleged Republican mayors like Bloomberg bragging that he's stopping hundreds of coal plants from being built by aligning themselves with environmentalists. Coal plants that provide 50% of our electricity in this country. Coal plants that keep people alive in record cold winters. Coal plants that power our modern way of life. Steel is carbon-based energy, one of the greatest liberators of mankind. They've reversed it all. Crony capitalism. They have all these green job scam unraveling before them. They're not giving up. But the bottom line is the American people have stopped them thus far. As long as we keep our feet to their throats, we can prevent this. We have prevented it. We shut down the climate bill in Congress. I credit talk radio almost single-handedly with doing that. They were terrified. You had people like John Kerry, the senator from Massachusetts, terrified to utter the phrase global warming on the Senate floor. We intimidated the authors of the climate bills to be terrified of their own issue. We had Barbara Boxer wouldn't even cite the United Nations as a source anymore after ClimateGate because of the scandals. So we have made progress. The problem is, in the history of America, is the more progress we make, the more devious they get, and the more successful, you could argue, they'll get behind the scenes. And that's where we have to be careful of the backdoor climate bill through the EPA and
But Mark, hold on. Trees are blowing a little bit behind you, and he showed me a video yesterday. He said if trees move, that's because I've been bad, and if I pay him money and let control freaks come in my house and inspect me and my light bulbs, my toilet, knock the windows out of my SUV like they do here in Austin, that he'll keep me safe. So, you know, I just don't understand why you're a denier. Why? Because, I mean, look, man, Mark, let's just admit right now, you're crazy. You actually know that carbon dioxide was higher in the past, which is a fact, but you're still stating it. That means you're a cultist. You know that the sun is driving, of all the factors, you know, the largest effect on climate, and you're just not going along with it. Wouldn't it just be better to slit your wrist politically and psychologically and spiritually and get into that hot bathtub with Al Gore? I mean, man, bear, pig cares about America. And, you know, I've been sarcastic, but closing here, at the end of the day, we know it's a power grab. GE can keep its plants open, the competition can't. We understand it's a guilt-ridden mafia, a new form of scientific authoritarianism, guilt-driven. I understand all that, but from your decades of research, what is at the core of these control freaks? Why does Al Gore and Maurice Strong and the Goddard Space Center head Hansen, why do they say they want to destroy America and destroy an industrial society? Is it just because their investments are in China and by shutting us down, their investments go up? Or is it more?